Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make deep, minimal, techie house in the style of James Dexter. As always, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets, all that kind of stuff from this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it'll be available there shortly. And yeah, let's get started. So, this loop you heard in the intro, we're at 125 BPM, and the first sound we have here is the bass, which sounds like this. So, this is the pattern this bass is playing. It's a pretty simple bass. You know, with these style of basses, you want like a pretty sparse kind of thing. Like, this isn't playing every second of the groove. We kind of have some space in between there, and you can kind of play around with that too. You know, it's not like it's got to be just bass like for the groove. Like, you can have, you know, like those percussions that hit there and stuff. So yeah. As far as the bass goes, though, it's pretty sparse, like I said. It's just following this D sharp minor thing, because that's the key word, D sharp minor. So you can see we have D sharp, and then F, and then a high D sharp. So yeah, or F sharp, excuse me. But yeah, so it's just following the sort of D sharp minor chord, because we have D sharp and then F sharp, the minor third. For the sound on this one, I made it using operator. What we have here is 3 sine waves doing a bit of FM. It's a really subtle kind of bass sound, you know, as you can hear. Like, it's not super complicated. Like I said, it's just 3 sine waves here doing some FM. You can see they're all in the same octave. Pretty simple stuff. And then I have those going into a low pass filter just to kind of dial back some of those highs a bit and make it a bit deeper. After that, we just have a bit of saturator and a bit of drum bus. I'll show you here's without those. And then with them. So you can hear these two things just really help to fatten the bass up and make it a bit more powerful in the mix. And that is it for the bass. The next thing we have here is the kick, which sounds like this. So for this kick, it's pretty simple. It's just more about like the sample you choose, really. Like, you can hear we just have this big, punchy, sort of tech house style kick. It's interesting. I feel like there's a lot of tech house in James Dexter's style. Like, it kind of sounds to me like minimal tech house. And so that's kind of like the inspiration here for this kick. I was trying to get like a really, again, just like a really solid like tech house style kick. And yeah, so that's it. And then you can see I've got this shortened a little bit with the amplitude envelope. And I've also got this pitch set here. So you can see I've got this tune, the D sharp. You can see the tuner here. It keeps bouncing around, but it is in key. It's in D sharp. And so I just had to put this down 1. And then the D tune is important as well, because if I turn that off, you can see it's completely off. So the D tune is how you get it to be like perfectly on the note. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of clashing with the bass, even though they will be playing the same note. After that, we just have a bit of saturation. Here's without that. And then with it, it just kind of helps to give the kick a bit more attack and makes it hit a little bit more. After that, we just have this EQ8, which is cutting out some stuff around like the low mid-range. You can hear around 240 hertz is what it says here. But yeah, you can hear that just helps to get rid of some kind of boxy frequencies. And then the last thing we have on here is a bit of drum bus. So here's without that. And with that, you can hear that really beefs the kick up and just makes it like really, you know, hit like that. And that's it for the kick. So I have the kick and the bass in a group to kind of put them more together and make the line sound more cohesive. Here is without any group processing. And then with it, so you can hear it really helps to tie these together. So the first thing we have here is the drum bus, which is just kind of, well, for one, gluing these together, but it's really just kind of like fattening everything up. And what's happening is you're putting the same kind of like strong saturation that's, again, fattening everything up and making it really hit on everything at once. So because of that, it's going to sound more together, like just because it's getting the same sort of processing on each thing. And then after that, we have this EQ8, and I'll show you, this actually does a lot more for tying these things together than you would think. Like, I'll show you, here's without it. And then with it, so this is operating on a similar principle to what I was saying with the drum bus. Because you're shaping both of these sounds in the same way with the same kind of sharp shaping stuff, they're gonna sound more cohesive because they're just getting that same, sharp effect at the same time. So yeah, that is it for the low end bus. The next thing we have here is the pad, which sounds like this. So what this is it's playing really quietly in the background. You can see I have it turned way down. And this is a pretty popular technique with minimal house in general, like just kind of having like a quiet little chord in the background like that. I feel like it really helps to add something, because otherwise, it's just the bass and the drums, which sounds good, but we need something a little bit more. So for the sound on this one, or for the notes on this one, I should say, you can see what's happening here is it's playing a D sharp minor 9 chord. So we just have a D sharp minor, really simple, the root note, the 3rd and the 5th, the minor 3rd and the 5th, and then we have a minor 7th, which is C sharp, and then a 9th, which is F. And there we go. So that just makes it a little bit more than, like, if we have this just be a minor chord. For one, it's a little bit too sad. I wanted more of like a chill kind of futuristic vibe, which is what I feel like this chord does. But also, it just makes it a little bit more interesting. And for the sound on this one, it is a pretty simple operator pad. Basically what we have here is 2 sine waves. I've got them FMing each other. So that's the waveform. And then I have this going into a bandpass filter. And you can see the bandpass is constantly moving because I have this LFO on there. So yeah, just kind of a nice way to give it some movement and make it not just like one thing the whole time, or even just that, So after that, we just have a bit of reverb to give it some space, pretty standard stuff with the pad. And then we just have a compressor side chaining into the kick, and an EQ8 cutting out the horn, and that is it for the pad. Like I said, it's really simple. It's just kind of like a nice background element to add something more melodic other than just the bass line. The next thing we have here is this little melody, which sounds like this. So what this is, I'll show you the notes. It's just going up this sort of D sharp minor scale thing. You can see like we have D sharp, and then F, the 9th, F sharp, the minor 3rd, A sharp, the 5th, and then another D sharp up here. So pretty simple stuff. Again, just following sort of like a D sharp minor scale or D sharp minor chord, however you want to look at it. For the sound on this one, I made it using operator. What we have here is a pretty simple little FM pluck. It's just 2 sine waves. You can see with this one, I've kind of played around with the chorus pitch, and I've also got them detuned a little. So I'll show you, like, here's without the detuning. It's kind of dull, but when we add that, it gives it a little bit more movement, makes it a little bit more interesting. And then the chorus pitch is really important as well. As you can hear, that's if we just keep it standard. But yeah, after that we have a bit of echo, just doing 8th notes. Pretty simple there. Then we have some reverb to give it a bit more space as well. I'll show you, here's like without these. I have a lot of reverb and delay, but it's because there's just so much space with this one, because it just plays this little phrase at this one spot, like after 4 bars. So you have a lot of room to play around with it and give it a lot of reverb and delay and stuff. After that, we have a saturator and a bit of drum bus. These both are just kind of fattening it up. I'll show you. Here's without them. And then with them. So you can hear they really have to bring it to life, give it some texture, and make it not just like a dry sine wave type of sound. After that, we have a compressor side chaining into the kick, and then just an EQ8 cutting out the line. And that is it for the melody. The next thing that we have here is the percussion, which sounds like this. So we have a few different percussions here. The first one is this little operator percussion. So we kind of have like, I'll show you, here's the operator percussion. It's really small. It's just kind of happening every now and then. We have kind of a few different styles of percussions. Like we have the clap. And this little drum rack, which are happening like a lot. Those are the most frequent things. The clap, you can see we just have a bit of saturation and some drum bus to give it a bit more power. And the drum rack, we just have a drum bus, kind of thicking everything up. And then we have some other percussion in here, which is a little bit more sparse. Like these two. Like the operator percussion that I already showed you, and then I have this little clap. So yeah, it's pretty simple, you know, it's just kind of a matter of like learning it. Like the reason why I'm showing you all these individual things is to show you kind of like the thought process and like how you should approach it and like how you can think about it in a way that will allow you to create a really good groove. Because if you listen, if we get rid of like all the little extra percussion in here, and I'll even do it with some of the hi-hats as well, like you can hear this is really boring. So it's important to be always thinking about these little percussions. So I'll show you the individual things. Like I said, the operator percussion sounds like this. And the way I made this one, using operator, is just some white noise with a bit of an envelope, kind of shortening it. Going into this bandpass filter, and I've got some resonance on the bandpass. We got a bit of an envelope as well. And you can see I've got the frequency being constantly modulated on that. So it's not like moving too much. I mean, with a bandpass filter, a little bit goes a very long way. But yeah, this is a nice technique. It kind of makes it feel more organic and alive because you have this, like, it never sounds exactly the same twice. It's giving it a little bit of movement and making it kind of feel more alive. After that, I just have a bit of echo to give it some space, and then a drum bus to kind of beef it up. And yeah, really simple. I showed you the clap here as well. And then we have this clap, where you can see, yeah, I just have this one playing more sparsely, like it's just kind of coming in every now and then. I've got a little bit of echo on that, a bit of drum bus, and then we also have that drum rack I showed you. And then I have all the percussion in a group, so similar to the kick and the bass, you know, just kind of like putting it all in a group to make it more cohesive and more together. I'll show you here's with no group processing. And then with it, so obviously this is making everything a bit louder and a bit more forward in the mix, but it's really helping to give everything a similar texture, just like I was saying with the kick and the bass. Putting everything through the same sort of like saturation at the same time really helps to make it more cohesive. So that's the percussion. The last thing that we have here is the hi-hats, which sound like this. This is really similar to the percussion. We have like a few different ones. We have like this one, which is really up front, and this little shaker loop, which I would say are like the main ones. But then we also have like this, kind of adding some more steady, like you can hear that makes the shaker sound a little harder. And then we have this one, which just does that little, like, one note there. So again, it's really important to pay attention to, like, the different layers and really think about how you can build it up in a way where it's not just, like, a lot of loud things fighting for one space, but a few different things that fit together really well. Like, if we used a hi-hat that was really big for this one, it wouldn't work. So we have the little tiny one, and then we have the big hi-hat for this one. And then, yeah, like this hi-hat. And then this little shaker loop, it's just like a quarter note that I've repeated over and over and over again. So then I have a drum bus on that group as well. I'll show you here's without it. And with it, you can hear it really fattens up the hi-hats. I feel like hi-hats, it's important to do stuff like this because a lot of times, like if you just let your hi-hats be dry, and I hear this in a lot of tracks that people send me for feedback, it's like if you just let the hi-hats be really dry and clean, they sound clear, and you will hear, like, I guess the crispness there. But listen to the difference here. That is so much stronger. Like, it sounds so good now. It sounds so fat and professional and powerful as opposed to this, which just sounded like a little percussion loop or something from a sample pack, you know? So that's me for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. That's all I had to show you today. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. And also, as always, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all that kind of stuff from this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it will all be available there shortly if it's not already there. Thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.